We already took a look at this one on the Steam Deck, and it actually will play almost as good as it plays on the consoles, but obviously won't look as good because of the settings we actually are going to choose. So let's take a look at Starfield on the ASUS ROG Ally. We'll be using the TDP setting of 25 watts and the native resolution of 1920 by 1080 or 1080p with all the settings as low as they get, and our upscaling set at to FSR2. The performance, we'll look at it in two pieces. First, we'll look at gunfights. If the gunfights are in some internal level, then most likely they will be above 30 frames per second, but usually not that much. Anywhere between 30 and 35 frames per second will be very normal. But if they're in an outside level, they'll be usually in high 20s all the way to maybe 30 frames per second, because that's most likely what the system is going to look for. And the second type of gameplay we're going to talk is just basically walking in your towns or cities. And the problem is, when there's a lot of NPCs around, your actual performance will be anywhere between low 20s all the way to mid 20s, usually staying somewhere around there and usually not going down there. However, in the cutscenes themselves, obviously they are in game, so you will actually have a very similar performance, usually above 30 frames per second, but there are actually places where you'll dip even to the actual teens. You can actually see it when you actually land on the first city, which is New Atlantis. So it actually would dip to the, even I think it was low teens where you actually did the dip. But it was just a very minimal dip, then it actually went back to normal. Interestingly enough, if you compare this to the actual Steam Deck, you might actually say, wait a second, the Steam Deck is actually playing better. I can see some better performance, for example, on the internal levels, etc., etc. But actually, it just appears to be playing better. Remember that Steam Deck was actually playing at 720p, and this is actually playing at 1080p, which is actually displaying many more pixels by being 1080p. You can always go to the config files and actually just set this, the ROG Ally, to 720p, and it will actually give you a lot of better performance, much, much better than what the Steam Deck could give you. Or you could also lower the resolution of the actual windows, and again, it will let you to actually play at 720p if that's your case. I actually don't think so. I think capping this at 30 frames per second should be fine, and you should be able to enjoy the game a lot on the ROG Ally. In that 7-inch screen, it actually doesn't look bad. Even though our settings are much lower, it actually looks a lot better with the same settings and same screen size than it actually looks on the Steam Deck. But anyway, I'll let you watch the rest of the video, and I'll see you in the next one.
I believe the enemy is nearby. Everyone will be in the library, just in time. If Barrett were here, he'd probably...
We appear to have a visitor.
Welcome to Constellation. We have a lot to talk about. Would you care to tell us what happened to our... I see. Vasco, verify.
All statements made have been factual.
This is just typical. Barrett hands over our ship and our robot to some random employee of that discount mining outfit he uses.
Walter.
And if we hadn't insisted on installing those emergency protocols, I guarantee you this rock breaker here would be halfway to Neon.
But that didn't happen. He's here with the artifact.
Thank you, Matteo. Now, let's focus on what's in front of us, shall we? What happened when it was extracted? Did anyone see anything? Hear anything?
I'll be at my booth if you need me.
I can assure you this unprovoked attack on a United Colonies research facility will not...
Sergeant Yumi's looking for reliable people to help the guard. Contact him if you're interested. We'd all appreciate it.
This is New Atlantis Transit, or the NAC. It provides free transportation throughout the city. We can take it directly to the mast.